Broadcasting from the creation of time to the end of the world.
There is no freedom without the law.
Whose law, Moses? Yours?
This isn't the end, son. I know.
Buckle up, baby. This ain't your grandma's Christian show.
I done changed my life. You ain't got to say nothing. I am living for the Lord.
It's time to get down and dirty on Change for That.
And welcome back, everybody. I'm Chester Proctor.
And
I'm
Curt Tootle.
breaking everything.
You pulled the thing off the
I'm sorry.
table.
And we are unfortunately not with our buddy and partner in crime, Cedric Thrower. He is unable to be here. Got tied up, and I hope not literally. If he does, but he's a magician. He can untie the knots. We got a big show for you today. Unfortunately, it comes in the wake of the terrible shootings that went on over at last Sunday at the Texas church in Texas. You know, right about the time our show was airing on one of the stations that we run it was the shootings were taking place. Sad stuff over there.
It was, and my prayers definitely go out to all the family members. And I heard that this church was only 50 members to begin with, and I think the death toll was 26 people. And I can't imagine the devastation that causes these families and the church that it happened at. But
no, and I guess nearly everybody was shot, right? I mean,
there was a lot more injured than were killed also.
Roy Halladay killed in a plane crash back on Tuesday.
A lot of stuff going on.
Sad stuff there.
And definitely, you out there listening, please pray for the pastor and his wife also. In particular, they lost a 14-year-old daughter.
But you know,
to this tragedy too.
I saw somewhere like the number of children, 10 to 12 children killed. I mean, horrific stuff going on. So definitely keep the folks in your thoughts and prayers. Not this show; it's too soon. But probably on our next episode, we'll be talking about some gun reform issues. We'll also be talking about whether or not you should tighten security in your church. Give some opinions on that. So that's going to come up in our next episode. But we're going to let this one it's still too soon to be unpacking all that. So at least for those of us who believe in Jesus, those who there's a lot of your mainstream folks are doing that as soon as it happened. But we'll move forward and let's talk about an issue that kind of surprises me. And this is about a woman who was a mother. You know, kids have to get vaccines, right?
Yeah.
Well, there was a mother who was jailed because she didn't want to give her son a vaccine.
That's not illegal, though.
Well, it's not, but she's a Michigan mama, okay?
Oh, that's why it's illegal.
That's the reason. She was jailed for 7 days because she refused to give her son a vaccine. Now, she's a divorced mom, and she's a mother of two, and she's 40 years old. The court ordered the vaccination to be done back in November of 2016, and she said, quote, "If my child's going to be forced to be vaccinated, I couldn't bring myself to do it," she told Judge Karen McDonald in court. It goes against her beliefs. Now, the reason it goes against her beliefs is because of the DNA parts of aborted fetuses, the stem cells of aborted fetuses that are within those types of shots. And so she was saying, I don't agree with abortion. I don't want to have any part of it, and my children will not be vaccinated with vaccines that have that. And she cited religious objections. And my question here is, why would this woman be jailed? How can the court order her to do something like that, but then turn around earlier, a couple years or last year, and order that the bakery that didn't make the wedding cake was wrong?
Well, I'm curious as to if there's some previous court decision or influence that she didn't follow that has less to do with her not vaccinating her kids and more so to do with her not doing something with her ex-husband, allowing him in on the process or something. I don't know, because to me that the reason she was jailed just for not vaccinating her kids doesn't make sense.
Well, according to a report at people.com, and they actually quoted the BBC as this, report. Parents in Michigan are legally allowed to skip or delay their children's vaccinations due to personal beliefs, and there's no civil or criminal penalty for refusing to vaccinate your child in the United States. Every state allows parents to opt out for medical reasons. Some states permit parents to decline due to philosophical or religious reasons.
And yet she's in jail.
Her case was about not following the court order. Now, here's the problem, and this is why I get so sick and tired of these left-wing liberal judges with too much power. Judges have too much power. The judicial branch should be about interpreting laws, but it should not be about forcing your beliefs or opinions down the throat of honest Americans or dishonest Americans. I mean, it's not about your opinion.
Yeah.
It's not about your passion. It's about right or wrong. And if the law doesn't say, this makes me mad, because if the law doesn't say that she has to do it, and the judge then says she has to do it, the judge is making this woman do something that the judge does not have the power to make her do.
Right.
And she throws her in jail not because she didn't do it, or not because she didn't follow there's no law that says it, but because she didn't follow the court order. In other words, the judge could say, stand on your head, and if she doesn't do it, can she go to jail? Well, it makes about as much sense. And it ought to piss off and outrage the people in this country, pardon my language, but it ought to outrage the Christians in this country and quite frankly, anybody with a soul.
So,
sorry.
Yeah, a little passionate.
Well,
there,
Cedric's not here, so I've got to be the angry guy.
So, with that being said, where is the checks and balances for this judge's power? I mean, what happened? I mean, he can't just force someone to do something. She can't force someone to do something that there's no lawful ground for this woman to be jailed. And I didn't know that aborted fetus stem cells were in vaccines. But the article goes on to say that there are, if you're interested in this, there are you can request other ways to get those cells into the vaccines. Like there's the umbilical cord, that sort of stuff, even adult stem cells that can be put into these vaccines. It doesn't have to be from aborted fetuses or aborted babies. We'll call it like it is. It's not a fetus; it's a baby. Yeah. And but I don't understand. So where is the checks and balances here, or is there even any?
I don't know. I mean, well, I don't know. I mean, I would like to know where I'd like to know that too. Where does the judge get the ability to rule this as a contempt of court issue? And if you're a judge or you're a lawyer, we need to have somebody on about this, because if you're a judge or you're a lawyer or you're something, let us know where you think. Look this up and follow this and let us know, because we want to know. Maybe we need to contact them, although I'm sure we wouldn't get anything from Karen McDonald, the judge in Detroit.
Made you mad.
It makes me, well, here's why it does, and maybe I shouldn't be so mad. Maybe I need to calm down. All right. The reason it makes me mad, Curt, is because to me, this judge has too much power. Mm-hmm. She has too much power, and she is. I'm looking up where she's at. She's located in. We could actually call her. She has a phone number, and we could actually call her if we needed to get in touch with her to find out what she's doing. Her name is Karen McDonald, and she is located in Oakland County Courthouse. And if you go to the oakgov.com, Curt, we could actually call her now.
We'll call her up.
I'm scared. I doubt we'd be able to get a hold of her.
Yeah.
But,
well, let's give her the benefit of the doubt for a second. Maybe there's some information we don't know about. I mean... Well,
that's always the case with me.
I mean, there could be details of this that the public has no clue of what happened, but from the outside looking in, it looks like she is forcing her opinion on this woman with no lawful grounds to do it.
Yeah, it does, and I'm not suggesting that maybe the woman's not wrong. I mean, I don't know. This issue. What would I do in this case? I don't know, but I struggle with where this. If policies for childhood immunizations are controlled by the state and the National Vaccine Information Center, which you can go to nvic.org, lists Michigan as one of the more than a dozen states that allows all 3 vaccine exemptions, religious, philosophical, and medical grounds, then why? Because, see, not all states don't always go with that. It's a state-by-state issue. But Michigan's one of the states that do it. They allow it. And so why can't this woman make that decision? She's sole custody of her children. Why can't she make that decision?
And that's the thing. Legally, she is allowed to.
Right. So where does this judge get that right to make that decision? And there again, that's where I think judges have too much control in this country. I think that when a judge can make certain decisions, and there is not obviously a checks and balance system here, I really, it bothers me, okay? And I know I could beat that horse to death here, but it bothers me. And I guess what bothers me is that I'm not finding anything. Judge Karen McDonald also ruled, this will make you mad, also ruled that custody would then go to the father. Gave custody to the father because of it. So now, in a report that came out at the end of last month, so not that long ago, on freep.com, the Detroit Free Press, Oakland judge has now faced threats and calls for painful death over the vaccine case. She's faced online harassment, calls for her. It's a good thing we didn't call her. They might have come and arrested us, even though just out of reaction, maybe. This story says she's faced online harassment, calls for her to die a painful death for handling 2 of the controversial cases. Wow. She's drawn the online attacks based on this case. Videos have called for her execution. Of course, this is stuff we don't support. Yeah. This is way out there. But that being said, I do think she's wrong. And they said the posts are offensive, but they don't apply to being a criminal threat. The Oakland sheriff said so. Oakland County Sheriff's Department said that, I think. So that's or the undersheriff said that. So I didn't even know they had such things.
I didn't either.
But she said at the end of the day, I'm going to do what I was elected to do and make decisions based on what's in the best interest of children. I just don't think that you have that right. But anyhow, you can check it out for yourself, and a little Google search will get you there. And if nothing else, we definitely need to be praying for this woman because she's obviously got power that she's wielding. And I'm all about judges. I love judges. I know some judges. They're great people. But I'm going to tell you something. If they start operating out of the scope of their duty, then power goes to your head. You become a liability, and we don't need that anymore. We don't need people like that in our courtrooms. Amen. We need people we can trust that are going to be unbiased and follow the letter of the law. And if the law's stupid, we need to fix the law. But judges can't decide whether the law's stupid or not. They have to decide whether the law's been broken.
Yeah.
So that kind of is my my stance. Yeah. And I almost feel like I owe everyone an apology. Because I just
go ahead and say you're sorry.
I am so sorry. I just got off on that, and I just made me mad. Well, stick around. I'll try to get mad in a minute again about something else.
Change for that. We'll be right back.
Change for that is brought to you commercial free by GG's Landscaping.
Back to the show. Change for that.
And welcome back, everybody, to Change for That. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook. Become an insider on Change for That. We post links to the stories we talk about, like this one about the dishonorable judge and dishonorable Karen McDonald in Michigan. What? I wouldn't name my child.
Really don't like her.
I don't like what she's done. I don't know her, but I don't like what she's done. I would not name
to
my...
To disagree with someone means you hate them, Chester.
Yes,
okay.
I'm also racist because of it. I hate white people. White judges. I miss Cedric. I got to do his role when he's not here.
That's pretty good.
All right. So anyway, become an insider. Go to Change for That Insiders community on Facebook. It's a closed group. It doesn't cost you anything to come. You can join for free. And we also give away free gifts. In fact, this week we're going to be giving away something out of the prize closet, but you got to be the first one on there to post about that, and you have to post in our group that you listen to the show by giving the keyword flamingo.
That's a good one.
Thank you. Yeah. Flamingo is the key word. All right. Before we go on that, we are keeping in our thoughts and prayers all of the families and community affected in Texas by, and of course around the world, by the senseless domestic violence shootings that resulted in over 25 people dead and almost as many injured. But good news out of the International Mission Board, or is it North American Mission Board?
It's NAM, North American.
North
Mission
American.
Board.
Good news out of there. Tell us about it.
Well, they are going to pay for the funeral expenses for all the shooting victims that were killed, and I think that's so important because I think sometimes we focus on Friendship Baptist or Smith Street or whatever church we're part of, but really we're all the same church, and it's important for us to be united during times like these because if you haven't noticed, the world is kind of crazy right now. And we're getting closer and closer to Jesus coming back, but we need to be united and more than ever right now. So this is a good step towards that. I think that they're going to pay for these funeral expenses for these families. I know that would mean a lot to them because it's a small town, but I think that's pretty cool of them to do.
In other news, we have to say congratulations. One of our local areas made it to the playoffs. And in football, and we normally don't talk about the local areas as much because we're on a lot of areas, but great radio stations like WHJD in Hazelhurst, Georgia carries the program, and congratulations to the Jeff Davis Yellow Jackets who made it to the first round of the playoffs, went up to Thomasville and played Thomasville and got beat in the first round, but congratulations on a huge deal for that program, and we're proud for all of them, and a big shout-out to the Yellow Jackets for making it. And they did it last week in a mini-game series that was actually held in Vidalia, where our show is also aired. Go people who support change for that. So
yeah, there you go.
So anyway, but we definitely want to give a shout-out. I mentioned on Facebook that we'd be giving a shout-out to them because that's a big deal. Oh,
yeah.
And I mean, we've got. Listen, don't get too upset. Some of you guys are like, well, we got other schools in our area. We'll shout your schools out. We'll shout out to them too.
Email us.
Coming up. Yeah, that's right. Change for that at gmail.com. Become an insider. We'll shout out to your school no matter where you are. Become a Facebook insider. Go to Facebook, search for Change for That Insiders, or follow me, Chester Proctor, or Curt Tootle, or Cedric Thrower. His name on Facebook is Thrower.
Don't know why, it just is.
But if you go on there, Thrower will throw you a bone and an invitation to Change for That's insiders community. Well, we always answer a question on the program today, so without further ado, the question is...
Are we responsible for our thoughts?
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Yeah.
So apparently I'm responsible for not thinking.
Not who, but are we?
But are we responsible for our thoughts?
Yes.
So no. No.
All right.
All right.
See you next time.
Next time on Change for That. I think we're, come on now, human people... things are going to pop in our heads that is inappropriate. Things that we might not want to think of. I can't hate the judge. In all seriousness, it makes me upset and frustrates me. And if I have the full story, and maybe I don't, but if I do, it frustrates me from that standpoint. But I can't hate her, and here's why: God has called me to love all people, even those who do wrong. And so, if I have a thought of how much I hate this person, I have to change that line of thinking. I have to repent if necessary, depending on what the thoughts are. But the fact that thoughts pop in our head, I believe, is not only a human nature thing, but it's also a spiritual battle. Because we've got the enemy and his minions, I do believe, whispering in some way thoughts to us or putting things in our path that make those things happen. So, to me, the answer is you're responsible for those thoughts if they take you into sin. But the fact that they initially popped in there, you not necessarily.
Yeah, we're not responsible for that initial thought, but we are responsible for our actions or what we think after that. And I think that's what you were in a sense saying is, we're responsible for what we do after those thoughts. The sin isn't in that thought occurring in our mind; it's our action after that. But we choose to sometimes feed into those thoughts, I think, also by what we watch and who we hang around and what we choose to do. I think that can influence our thinking also, because Scripture does tell us to guard our hearts. And when it says heart, it's not talking about the organ that pumps blood through your body. That's your mind. That's where
my
your
mind
thoughts come from.
The organ that pumps blood through my body is my mind?
No, that's your heart.
Oh.
And you don't think with that. You think with your brain.
I know No, I'm not even going there. Yeah, you're right.
And
it's not important. It's really not.
Oh, okay.
It's one of those things that people would turn off their radios.
Oh,
Now we want to know. It was a thought popped in my head, and I am
that
not.
you were not responsible.
That I am
for.
not responsible for because I put it away.
But you are responsible for that action.
But I did
after that,
and I did not. I did not make that. I did not take that. And make it a part of me and the show. So I handled it right?
Good job.
Thanks.
I'm proud of you.
That was a very good example.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to suggest God put that there because, believe me, that was not God. Okay? But that's how it works. So,
okay.
So, I think sometimes, people, what we've got to realize, it takes, you have the power to not fall for it. You have the power to not fall into that stinking thinking kind of mindset. Mm-hmm. And just because you enter in there doesn't mean you have to live there. You know what I mean? Once you realize you're in there, turn around and go out. I'm using metaphors, but change your thinking. You never know somebody who's like, I can't stop thinking about that. Yeah, you actually can. The power of Christ compels you to stop thinking about that. But you've got to be willing to change your thinking, change what you're thinking on, your focus. I've heard you tell people, get into Scripture, and that's great. Get into the Word of God and begin to think about God. Think about how amazing God is. If you're struggling, sad, frustrated, these are thoughts. These are not chemical depressions. We're not talking about, somebody has a chemical imbalance, and that's what causes a depression or a problem or what have you. We're talking about thought processes. And I think it's important because sometimes thoughts can make us sad, and then sometimes thoughts cannot improve how we feel if it's a chemical issue. So,
I think we as people get into this. I don't know if it's a habit or a choice or whatever, but we, especially the younger generation, tends to speak like this. We sit there and we say, "Well, I can't help it," or "It's not my fault." If this and this and this happens, or if I do this and this. And there are even people out there that would say that. Even take the church shooting, for example, that guy couldn't help himself, that he didn't know what he was doing, But, our thoughts, we have a responsibility to act or not to act on our thoughts. And it's just like we've said the example before, but when we see, as men, we can see a woman that's attractive, let's just say on the beach or something, and that initial thought that comes into our brain is not good. We have the choice either then to continue to look or continue to think, or we have the choice to turn away and not think about that. And that's on us. That we are responsible for that. Maybe not that initial thought, but what comes after that.
I think Denzel Washington, and I don't know if this will surprise you if you saw this, but I think Denzel Washington kind of sums up what we're talking about in a recent interview about his upcoming film Roman J. Israel, Esquire, in which he plays a defense attorney who has to stand up for his convictions. And he gave words of wisdom to the millennial generation. He said, quote, according to the Christian Post, by the way, he said, quote, "I would say to your generation, find a way to work together because this is a very divisive, angry time you're living in, unfortunately, because we didn't grow up like that." And then he went on to say, "I pray for your generation. What an opportunity you have. Don't be depressed by it because we have to go through this. We're here now. You can't put that thing back in the box." He then went on to say, he's talking about his mother, and actually talking about how he and Dan Gilroy, the writer and director of Roman J. Israel, Esquire, prayed and shared the Word of God every day while working on the film. This is Denzel Washington now.
How old is he?
Denzel?
Yeah.
He's
got to be in his 50s now,
I would say so. I could tell you probably in a few minutes.
You know how insane that is if he is at least, his mid-50s? He said that now is a more divisive time than when he grew up.
Yeah, he was born in 1954. So
that is crazy.
So that makes him what?
That's right smack in the civil rights movement, all of that stuff. But now is more divisive than when he grew up.
54 would make him 63 or so.
He looks like 40.
Yeah.
I can't believe that.
Yeah, he doesn't. He looks good for 63. He doesn't look like he's in.
But I
know he's not 40. He's 62, I think. 62.
That just blows my mind that he says that now is more divisive than then. And I believe it, but that's just crazy to think about.
In fact, he is 62. He was born December 28th, so he'll be 63 next month. Hey, speaking of birthdays, you've got a birthday.
I do.
November 20th. That's what, 2 Sundays away? Or is that a Sunday or Tuesday?
What's today?
It's a Monday. Today's the 12th. It's next.
Yeah,
it's
8
next.
days.
It's a week from tomorrow.
I will be 26.
What are we going to do to celebrate? We got next week's show. We got to do
Give me
some
a
kind
week off.
All right, we'll see you next week on
Bye.
Change for That. That's twice we've tried to close out the show early. Remember, today's keyword is flamingo. If you're just tuning in, you can win a prize. Could be a CD, could be a shirt, could be something awesome, could be a date with Cedric. Who knows what you win? But maybe not. But if you're interested, and what we do is you go on Facebook.com and join us on Change for That, the Insiders community. Now, I'm Chester. He's Curt. All you got to do, and Cedric is under the name Thrower. All you got to do is say, hey, we want an invitation, or go find that. We got 346 members in there now.
Wow.
But we want more, and we want some interactive members too. So a lot of those people just don't talk to us anymore,
including me.
Yeah, you really don't. But I'm not real good at it either. But we'll get better if you guys join us. Get in there, type in the keyword for the week. If you do so, we'll send you a prize. We'll contact you, and you'll get something. You don't even have to pay shipping or handling on this thing. And you can see our ugly mugs too. We got our ugly mugs on there. And so since you don't know what Cedric looks like, you can guess. I'll give you a hint. My name is Chester.
I'm Curt.
Okay, now all you got to do is hear the two of us talk, and I think when Cedric comes in next week, everybody will know.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, that almost sounded bad, didn't it?
It did.
Yeah,
it did.
But again, Cedric's not here to play that card, the other card. So I have to do stuff to offend people. Okay. Cedric's the offensive one, isn't he?
That makes sense.
All right, cool. Well, listen, we'd love to have you join us on the show, and again, topics and more. And when I'm just teasing, by the way, we love Cedric. People are going to be like, every time we talk about Cedric when he's not here, he comes back and goes, people told me you've been talking about me.
Well, they going to tell him
and it's
kind of,
he kind of talks like that, like, people told me. Because he's got that Barry White voice, he said. People told me you've been talking about me, Chester. So, but anyway, all seriousness, we love Cedric. We miss Cedric. Wish Cedric the best and have him hurry up and come back in with us. And if you want to sound off on something, please do at Change for That. On Facebook or changeforthat.com, use the number 4. Got anything else? Because we're really just stretching this show today. We got 60 seconds. We got like an hour.
No, anything cool? Oh, we had a baptism this past Sunday.
2 Sundays ago. A week ago. Oh, okay,
no, this past Sunday.
Yeah,
and that makes the 8th.
Tell everybody what you forgot to do in that baptism.
We had a baptism, and I forgot to fill up the baptistry.
See, but now you got your deacons going to do it.
Yeah.
That's how it should be.
They're awesome deacons.
That's how it should be.
Yeah.
I'm glad you have awesome deacons. I do too. Every pastor should have awesome deacons. That's the biblical model. So, hey, listen, if you heard something that you don't agree with, well, guess what? We want to know about it. By the way,
we'll cry.
Don't call your local newspaper and do it cowardly, you snake in the grass. Get on Facebook, send us an email, changeforthat@gmail.com. Use the number 4, so type out change, the number 4, that at gmail.com. We'll check it, and we'll even respond to you. It just might be on the air, but we won't use your name. We value your anonymity as long as you tell us who you are, and we won't tell anybody else. Because we'll protect you, because we love you. Change for that at gmail.com. Visit us on Facebook, and until next time, our opinions are just our opinions. God has the correct
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Change for That.
We are so over.
Fine by me!
We'll catch you next time.
Don't leave me.